Okay, so what we've got are a few screenshots that we're going to show you around production scheduling. Unfortunately, video tends to be quite choppy, and we have lag times, etc. So what we've got are a few screenshots that I'm going to talk my way through. So first up, we've got an operator's view. So this is really a person potentially on the production floor who's managing a work center and is looking at the list of their orders that have been assigned to their work center. And what we see is obviously this particular work center is SA1, and when we highlight the production order that ends in number 173, we can see that they're to be doing a saw cut, etc. And down below, we're seeing a complete view of that production order. So all of the operations, so we'll know that this operation is following number 10 is going to 20 for drilling, etc. And all the way down the line in terms of when the item is going to be produced. And we can see at the bottom there that, in fact, we've got the product going out for coating at a vendor operation. At any rate, this is, again, an operator's view, and for that particular production order, sorry, go back. Thank you. On the top, we see the ribbon of activities that an operator would typically perform. So obviously they would be able to start the order in terms of their activities, complete the operation, and report finished, you know, the amount of materials consumed, the labor hours, etc. If they want to look at the pick list. So all the common activities that relate to this role of a person doing an operation is seen across the top in the ribbon bar. And that's a new feature in AX 2009 and is very similar to the model that Microsoft is using with many of its products in terms of the ribbon bar. Okay, so next view is which we saw a little bit of here, was the production scheduling view. So this is intended to be for a person who is looking at the entire production process, be they a production scheduler or a production manager, and they're looking at all of the various orders that are in the system. Now, I will say at this juncture that many of our customers are not necessarily looking for job scheduling down to the minute or the hour. What they're typically looking for is production scheduling on the day, or capacity scheduling. You know, what is our work center capable of doing, but not necessarily trying to get into the finite level of detail around scheduling jobs into hours and minutes. That tends to come with a certain degree of overhead they're just not necessarily interested in doing. However, what they want to be able to do is to control the flow of orders as they flow through the production process on a given day. So what we've added in the IDART solution is the ability for those production orders to be moved around in sequence. And so the customer is able to say that certain orders will move ahead of other orders. And we're going to see the impact of that here in just a minute. So in this case, the customer or the production manager has decided that this sales order, production order in 191, is now a rush order and it needs to move up in priority. However, you know, that's one thing to say it, but the other is to figure out what the impact of that is. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a look at the next slide here. And what they've done is they've done on the Schedule tab, again using the ribbon capability, is they've done an explosion of this order to find out what all the related steps and pieces are. So as we can see, production order 191, which is the sales order production order, the final assembly order, I believe, is actually comprised of two production orders or sub-orders and also a procurement order. So by viewing this information and seeing the tie back to the original sales order requirement of the pegging, the production manager is able to have a view about what activity is needing to take place and decides that they want to move that order up and all of the subsequent sub-orders in sequence. So on the next slide, what they simply do is they drag and drop the orders above the one that they want, so to change the priority. So now we see that 191, 192, and 193, which are the sub-orders, are moved ahead of the order 171. And now when we go down to the next slide, what we find for the operator's view is that They no longer have 172 as their next step, but 192, 93, which of course are the sub-orders for sawing, have been moved up in their priority. So, while they're looking at their work, what they have to schedule, the schedule change done by manufacturing scheduling is impacting what's going on the floor instantaneously. Okay, so that's sort of scenario number one around production scheduling. And we'll move on to the next scenario. Okay, so in this case, what we're looking at is a assembly BOM, and what we're trying to understand is from all of this data here, what is the BOM and what are the costs and what is our sales price for this BOM? Are we making money on this product, and have we structured it such that our sales, we're achieving our margin objectives? So what happens is a user's looking at the item list and then wants to look at this BOM, and they're going to go into the BOM designer, which again on the ribbon bar is a common function. So we click on that button. And from the BOM designer, what we're able to show is the entire structure of the BOM for this particular item. And so we can see that it's made up of a number of finished parts, but also a bunch of sub-assemblies and the BOMs themselves. So we can look at, down the left, we've got a bunch of buttons here. One is to check the BOM version, so you can support multiple BOM versions. We can look at the routes, because we know that routes are a key element of planning. But in this case, we're particularly interested in driving into the calculation information. So we click on the calculation button for this this top-level item. And there we are. So we see in this screen all of the elements, including the labor hours, but the total cost per unit is $2,222, and our sales price is $3,116. So we're seeing a total breakdown and roll-up of all of the costs for all the elements in this BOM. We're creating visibility for our margin. So if purchased items are increasing in cost, then we would see that the total cost is going to start creeping up versus the sales price if it's static. Okay, so that's that scenario. And the last scenario that we're going to take a look at is scheduling or available to promise, pardon me. So as many of us recognize, there seems to be typically a gap between sales and production in terms of sales would need to know when things can be produced, and there's often calls and meetings and spreadsheets and such that are managing that process. One thing that Dynamics AX is going to be able to provide is that either in the sales quotation stage or in the sales order stage, is to create visibility into what your availability to promise is. So in this case, we've created a different set of items, and we've got item A, which is a finished good. And what we're trying to understand is if we place an order for 20, in this case there's a 5% discount, etc. The customer has requested it to be on December 13th, and that's up on the top screen there, the sales order summary. But all of a sudden the system has calculated that the requested ship date really cannot be until December 20th. So how do we know that? So let's go into the next step here, and we're going to do a explosion of the requirements. And what we see by looking at the explosion requirements is that finished good A is made up of a manufactured item B, which is made from raw material D, and also a purchased item C. And when we look, we realize, okay, we've got on hand 5 units of the raw material, so we're missing 15, and the system is going to plan a purchase order of 50. In this case, we're just going to go for exactly what the requirements are as opposed to topping up the order or anything like that. And then we need to see some production orders or planned production orders for actually producing the 20 of the finished good. So from this screen, we can see that we don't have all of the raw materials and that we obviously don't have any of the finished product in stock. But, and there's obviously a lead time that's necessary. The system is able to take into account the available production capacity for these items, as well as procurement lead times, obviously, and calculate that the finished product is not available until December 20th. So up front we're able to confirm with the customer that, while you wanted it on the 13th, we are able to ship it on the 20th. So from this stage, if this is a part of the process you would want to do, we would be able to confirm this sales order. So we would confirm the sales order, and upon the confirmation of that, and this is the confirmation step. So in one more click, what will happen is that automatically, after confirming the sales order, those production orders and purchase orders are released. And so, there's limited issues with communication from sales to production and procurement in terms of what their next activities are. So production obviously will be commencing after the procurement of the raw materials. Okay, so those are just a couple examples of how Dynamics AX can help to provide some benefits and address some of the typical manufacturing issues. All right, so we have some time for questions, and we'll sort of leave it open or open it up for questions for folks if they have any specific questions they wanted to address at us. And so far, I don't think Ryan is telling me we don't have any questions yet, but we'll see what happens here. So if you have any questions with what's been shared today, again, we'll follow up with the Nucleus research note and email that out to everybody on the session. Maybe Ryan, go on to the next slide, and we can just chat about that briefly while we're waiting. So there's the questions. Okay, so just as a reference point, if you want to have a look at our website on Ideaca.com and drill into industry and manufacturing, you can get some more information about IDART and read more about our, obviously our client success stories and some case studies. So I think Ryan, any questions? Final call for questions? Okay, so far it doesn't appear that we have any questions, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time today. It looks like we're going to wrap up a little bit early, and thank Frank for his contributions, and appreciate everyone's time today. I hope you found this useful, and we'll look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. Again, this is Mike Foster and Frank Stevens from Ideaca. Thank you.